Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. It is Wednesday, April 27th. I had to think about what the day was there for a second. But Ian Cameron is with you, Jimmy Murphy, Andrew McInnis, Alex B. Smith will be along momentarily as well. We're going to have the whole crew in the house today for this Wednesday slate. We've got, of course, 5 games on tap in NHL action. There's a tricky board today. You've got some interesting scenarios. We will definitely talk about all of them regarding the 5 games tonight. First of all, before we start, thanks to everybody that partake in the betcast last night, that joined us on the stream and tuned in. We appreciate it. Our final Ice Guys betcast of the regular season, but we will have plenty more coming up in the playoffs. We'll be having our Tuesday night betcasts continue throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs. And on occasion, we might add a second betcast in a week. On certain weeks throughout the playoffs. So, but thanks to everyone that joined us. It was a fun betcast as always, a huge Tuesday slate. So briefly, we'll look back on what happened last night, and really focus on the games that had, playoff implications. For example, we don't really need to talk too much about New Jersey, Ottawa. There was nothing at stake there, although Ottawa, good job by them coming back and winning. A lot of us liked the Sens in that game. They won 5-4. Carolina sewing up the Metro Division. Congrats to them. A 4-3 win against the New York Rangers last night. Very nice win for the Hurricanes in that game. And look, the New York Rangers now, as you can see with their game against Montreal, now they know they're locked into a second in the Metro. We'll still have home ice in the first round, and you can see they are going to give some guys a little bit of a break, a little bit of a rest tonight for that game against Montreal. But good win for Carolina, and another decent performance, more than decent. I mean, Pyotr Kochetkov, let's give this kid credit. He's come in here for Carolina, giving them some really solid goaltending. Again, a nice win in a big spot, too. Clinched the division on the road, and Kochetkov has been up to the task so far for the Hurricanes with that 4-3 win, obviously, last night. Very impressed with the Edmonton Oilers, a 5-1 drubbing of the Pittsburgh Penguins to clinch second place in the Pacific Division, which means they will have home ice in the first round, and they will end up having the LA Kings in the first round and have home ice advantage for that series. So very good news there for Edmonton. Another terrific outing from Mike Smith. I mean, I can't believe I've been saying this about Mike Smith now 8 or 9 games in a row that he's been in net, that he's been this good, but continues to be solid. Now, nobody's going to care about what he's doing right now. The Oiler fan wants to see him do this next week and 2 weeks from now when the playoffs begin. But certainly right now they're playing some good hockey, and Smith in particular in net. And look, they're winning games with McDavid and Draisaitl not dominating night after night. That's the impressive part for the Oilers too during this run. Last night we also saw the Flames beat Nashville 5-4 in overtime. Great game, physical, multiple fights, a lot of bad blood, nasty feelings developing. You can tell those two teams might be about to square off in the first round. It is already ratcheting up the hatred and the vitriol between the Calgary Flames and the Nashville Predators. Lucic and Borowiecki, one hell of a fight. You saw, obviously, Goodbranson and Jeannot drop the gloves. Duchesne and Tkachuk were going at it. It was just one of those games. Lots of bad blood there with those two teams. We saw Dallas beat Vegas 3-2, the penultimate game of the night, which means now we're in a spot where Vegas has to win out, and they need Dallas to not even pick up 1 point in 2 home games against Arizona and Anaheim. Good luck with that. It pretty much means that Vegas is done. This would be a shocker of epic proportions if somehow Dallas were to suffer 2 regulation losses in a row on home ice to the lowly Coyotes and Ducks. But crazier things have happened, but I just don't see it. And then we also saw there was one other game I wanted to mention. Yeah, Colorado, credit to them. They stick a cork in their skid and get a 5-3 win against St. Louis last night. And now all of a sudden they're in a battle for the President's Trophy that I don't think either team should want, given the curse that it is lately. But nevertheless, they are still alive for that with the 5-3 win last night over the St. Louis Blues in that game. And that's pretty much it. Alex, welcome in. Alex B. Smith with us now. Alex, you were on the betcast with us for a bit last night. Thoughts from last night?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun as always, and of course we'll have more going on during the playoffs. But it was a nice finale for the regular season and some good games. And like you mentioned, obviously the game of the night ended up being that Nashville Calgary game. Also, like I said, obviously Dallas Vegas was a big game as well, but it was just fun kind of watching and seeing these teams kind of, the playoffs aren't going to, I don't think we're going to see the usual kind of rigmarole in the playoffs as far as the lower scoring games, at least not in the first round. I think we're still going to see the offense kind of be the more dominant force in this first round because of how condensed everything has been, and teams just simply, just seem to be fatigued as far as playing in their own back end. I mean, we saw, look at the Arizona, Minnesota game, Fleury, the goals that he let up, and he's played well, but the goals that he's given up, like, and you mentioned it on the Betcast last night, the goals he's given up since he's, joined the Wild have been really soft goals. Yep. Whereas, early in the year with the Hawks, it was just that he wasn't getting any defense from him. He was making huge 10-bell saves. Literally it seems like he was making, highlight saves, at least 4 or 5 of them in a game, and just couldn't get any, defensive help and no offense in front of him. But now they got the offense. They've got he's got a good team in front of him, but he's been uncharacteristically kind of soft as of late. So I think that might be the trend. I think we're going to see higher scoring games at least in the first part of this postseason, and we're going to see a lot of tight games too. We talked about, this is overtime season now, but I don't think we're going to see a lot of 1-1, 2-2 games going to overtime in the playoffs. I think we're going to see a lot more 3-3, 4-4, maybe even 5-5 with the offensive talent that we're going to see in the postseason. But the defense and goaltending, it just still seems to be questionable in certain spots. And, arguably the best goalie going into the postseason right now is Mike Smith, who of all of us would have thought that we would be saying that, 4 days, 5 days away from the playoff starting. But so it's interesting to see, we're not used to seeing this kind of pace to end the season, and the fact that there's only going to be a couple of days between the regular season end and the playoffs. I think we're just going to see a continuation of this style of play.
Yeah, it's really, really shocking to see the Mike Smith freight train continue to roll along. And by the way, I forgot to mention the big upset. How could I recap that and not mention that big upset? But yes, Arizona shocking the Minnesota Wild 5-3 last night. So maybe upset alert for Dallas tonight. They only need a point, but Arizona showed you, well, at least last night, they were capable against a pretty good hockey team. So Dallas, you better come to play tonight, even against Arizona. In that one tonight. So we'll preview that in a few minutes. Jimmy, thoughts from last night? I know you were watching the Boston game intently. Nice win for them. Unfortunately, can't gain any ground on Tampa. Still 3 points back, which means it's looking more and more like Boston is probably going to end up playing Carolina in the first round, and looking like Toronto-Tampa as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. And look, I mean, as Alex began to speak there, giving his theories about why he thinks high scoring is going to be a little more prevalent in the first round, excuse me. He convinced me a little. You convinced me there, Alex. I think the key thing you touched on there is where a lot of these guys are in terms of their bodies and the fatigue and just I could, if we had a way to prove it, I would bet that 99% of every player that's entering these Stanley Cup playoffs is battling some nagging injury that he's been battling for over a season.
Yep.
Because think about it, guys. I mean, I don't know about as a journalist covering the game, I feel like the last 2 seasons have just been one long freaking season, and it's just been no break. And I can't imagine if I was skating back and forth every night doing that and taking the beatings these guys do. So I think that's a good point. I think you might be onto something there, Alex. I think, and as you said, as we go on, I think it kind of condenses and gets a little more tight. But, just with the games last night, I mean, Arizona, yeah, that surprised me. But then again, I don't know how much of that is Minnesota just looking ahead and, not really focused on pounding the woolly Arizona Coyotes. I mean, maybe they got a little soft spot. I know Billy Armstrong and, Bill Guerin, a good friend some way back in the day. Maybe they're just throwing him a little bone there. Who knows? So I don't know how much stock it put into Arizona's performance last night going into tonight, because, I mean, if Dallas doesn't win this tonight, then that really starts to put the danger signals up for Vegas to actually pull this miracle off, which they still slightly can. So they know they have to put the hammer down right now, and I think they will. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, as for that game you referenced, guys, the Florida Bruins game, that was the old school, typical, traditional tight playoff game we saw there, right? It looked like it was going to run away and be an over after the first period, but then the Bruins just put their foot down. They really shut them down. I mean, that Jake DeBrusk goal to answer what happened at the end of the first period, that was huge. And then Brad Marchand, as we said, finally got out of his goal scoring slump. So, and then like you said, Ian, as we talked off the air, I was really entertained with the Nashville Calgary game. It was great. I think that's going to be a fun series. Could go a little longer than expected if Saros is between the pipes, but that's yet to be seen.
And even though it was just an empty net goal for Brad Marchand last night, he will take it. There's no question about that.
Look on his face.
He was missing empty nets, so he'll take it. Yeah.
I mean, wow, man. Yeah, that was relief. That was a lot of relief on his face. And like, hey, you take him any way you can get him, right? And those are usually how you snap out of a goal scoring slump, is usually some cheesy goal or an empty netter. And then you kind of roll from there. So, hey, maybe it was better that he had that slump now for the Bruins than in the playoffs.
Yeah, no question about that. It's good to see him get off the schneid and back in the even with an empty net goal. It's a goal. It's still going to go on your stat sheet as a goal.
We're going to win us money.
Yeah, exactly. It wins you money. That's right. The empty net goals count from a goal scorer prop betting standpoint as well. That's the beauty of it. All right, let's go to the Wednesday slate. Let's break it down. 5 games. We will start with the Philadelphia Flyers taking on the Winnipeg Jets. We've got Winnipeg minus 180. Home favorites in this game, 6.5 the total. Pretty much across the board. Obviously, 2 teams, as I say, playing for exercise. I always say that with the 2 non-playoff teams playing each other. And when you look at this game for Winnipeg, it's the continuation of a 4-game homestand to wrap up the regular season. They're going to end up playing. They played their last game at home against Colorado, tonight against Philly, then Friday against Calgary. And actually, they are playing a May 1st Sunday makeup game, believe it or not, this team against the Seattle Kraken. And it's really the only game on the weekend, actually. I said there was no hockey on the weekend. There's actually a Sunday, May 1st game, Seattle-Winnipeg, the ultimate exhibition snooze fest, or totally meaningless. But there is that game on Sunday, May the 1st, between Winnipeg and Seattle. So that's how the season will wrap up for the Winnipeg Jets. And even though it's been a disappointing season, I've gone back to the well talking about this theme here involving teams that want to finish the season strong on home ice, want to get these wins in these last few home games, even after a disappointing season. And you're seeing that right now with Winnipeg. That was, to beat Colorado 4-1. Even with Colorado kind of going through the motions, having locked up everything, the number 1 seed in the West, still to be able to get that kind of a win, pretty impressive by the Jets. I would only look Winnipeg here. And obviously you got to look in regulation if you're going to back them. That's kind of the side I look to here in this game, is Winnipeg in regulation. And certainly totals wise, we saw it with Jersey, Ottawa. I ain't betting 2 non-playoff teams under the total. Not at this stage of the year, and not necessarily with the fact that these 2 teams from a defensive standpoint, not necessarily trustworthy. I think the thing that benefits Winnipeg too, guys, is Eric Comrie in net. He's actually played pretty decent, respectably at times this year for the Winnipeg Jets. And with Connor Hellebuck obviously not having a great season by any stretch of the imagination, Eric Comrie's actually played well. They lost against Carolina in his last start 4-2. He played great, though. 42 saves on 45 shots, faced a ton of rubber in that game, gave the Jets at least a puncher's chance to beat Carolina on the road. So I do like the way Comrie's playing right now. So for me, it's over 6.5 in Winnipeg in regulation if I'm betting the side in the total here. Alex, Philly and Winnipeg.
I got nothing in this game. I don't even like the draw. I don't like even the over at 6.5, because we know if these 2 teams, if they aren't interested, they can, just kind of skate around and do absolutely nothing offensively. So, there's going to be some games in the next few days where I just don't like anything at all. This is one of them.
All right, there's nothing wrong with that. Saying pass the final 3 days of the regular season is definitely not the worst thing in the world. That no question about that. And by the way, Felix Sandstrom confirmed in net for the Philadelphia Flyers. Not someone I fully trust yet. You look at his numbers in limited duty, 0-3. He's yet to win a start for the Flyers in net, 3.26 goals against, 914 save percentage for Sandstrom for the Flyers, and he'll be in net tonight. Jimmy, what do you think here, Flyers Jets?
I think I'd rather watch a Moose Phantoms game. I think that would be more fun than watching these 2 teams right now who absolutely don't give a shit about this game. And frankly, have played like they don't give a shit all season. But I'm a Jimmy pass on this. I'm with Alex. Just get me away from here.
All right, nothing wrong with that. We'll move on to Montreal and New York. Canadiens, Rangers minus 220, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. Actually 6.5 in some spots, so make sure you shop around. The New York Rangers, folks, opened minus 380 in this game. If you look at the opening line, DraftKings had it at minus 380 yesterday at around 9 p.m. All right. It's now minus 220 on the New York Rangers. It has been a deluge of money coming in on the Montreal Canadiens, and situationally is exactly why the money's coming in on Montreal. The Rangers now are locked into second in the Metro by virtue of their loss last night to Carolina, because now Carolina's clinched that division. Gerard Gallant has already stated no Panarin tonight. There could be another couple other regulars that he is not divulging who is going to be rested tonight. But the plan is to rest at least a couple players for the Rangers tonight. So this is going to be a lineup sprinkled in with a lot of AHL call-ups, college kids maybe getting a look as well. So that definitely changes things completely here in this game for the Rangers. This definitely looks like a, hey, and he said the coach speak that, hey, we still want to win this game, but we're going to give players a look here within the organization. But at the bottom line is there's a reason all the money's come in on Montreal. However, the one concern is, can Montreal do anything about it? Can they take advantage of maybe a disinterested Rangers team, a Rangers team that's going to be without several key players in this game? That's going to be the question mark. They do have a rest advantage because the Rangers, this is a very bad spot too for the Rangers. Back to back, a loss that took out any chances of them winning the division. It's definitely difficult to see them, playing their absolute best in a game, especially when they're going to be shorthanded from a starting lineup standpoint. But at the same time, the Canadiens have lost 9 in a row. This is a team that is just, I think they've ran out of gas here late in the season, and that's definitely been a bit of a concern here for Montreal down the stretch. So it's not like they're in a bet-on team at the moment, having lost 9 in a row. That being said, it'll be Montreal or pass. It's dog or pass spot for me. I'll sprinkle a bit on the Canadiens here in this one. Nothing significant, but the writing is on the wall for the New York Rangers. This does have that mail-it-in feel written all over it tonight. Georgiev and net, by the way, obviously on the back-to-back for the New York Rangers. That's not surprising whatsoever. It should be Samuel Montembeault for the Canadiens, not confirmed yet, but projected to be the goalie here in this game. And not just Panarin, Andrew Kopp out, Tyler Mott still out, and apparently we're talking maybe a Zibanejad or a Kreider potentially out for the Rangers. Not announced yet. Gerard Gallant says he's going to keep that with inside and not reveal it. So this is definitely a dog or pass for me. The over could get there, 6.5. With Georgiev in net. Montreal has been piss poor defensively lately as well. So the over could. And the one thing about the Rangers with these call-ups and these youngsters that'll be in the lineup, they'll be hungry. They'll be looking to make a statement, looking to play with some energy. So the game could go over the total based on all of those factors. Alex, what do you think here, Montreal, New York?
Yeah, with the Rangers, like I said, they've really got nothing to play for. They're going to rest guys and just try to make sure no one gets hurt. Everyone just kind of stays healthy and fresh for the playoffs. Montreal, they've just been in a free fall right now, obviously, like I said, all season, but certainly now with this losing streak as well. So I played the draw at plus 425. I thought that was an awfully high number, considering you have a Rangers team, like I said, that they're not interested in it. All the money's coming down on the Habs, but yet they're a team that, even with losing 9 in a row, you can't trust them to put up a full 60-minute effort these days. So I could easily see this game being 2-2 or 3-3 going to OT. So 425, I thought that was an awfully high price for the draw. I would have lined it somewhere around 330, 340 because of the situation. But obviously that's not how they price the three-way line. That is dictated by just the main money line and adjustments from there. So it's just more of a value play than anything else to draw with the Habs and Rangers.
All right, so looking at the draw here in this one, Montreal's been in many great spots before in the last week or two, and this is another one. We talked about the Guy Lafleur night in Montreal. That was a good spot, and still they lose. So, that's why I'm, a little leery. But, man, this does set up again for Montreal to win a game in a much more advantageous situation. But, again, they've spit the bit and found a way to not get it done in these spots lately countless times. Jimmy, what do you think? Montreal, New York.
One second here. Sorry, guys. Something's coming over the phone. I apologize.
Yep.
Can you hear it?
I knew he had a little gimmick planned. I just knew it. Yeah.
What's that? Oh, it took too long to get going. But it's Blue Blonde Rouge all the way tonight, folks. Are you kidding me? If this team doesn't win tonight, I mean, they should be absolutely ashamed of themselves and live with guilt for the entire offseason. This is the best situational spot I've seen in a while. The Rangers just lost the division.
Yep.
They're done. They don't care. Let's get to the playoffs. And I'm telling you, coming off that loss, do you not think it hurt the Canadiens pride-wise that they did lose that game? They had a few days to sit on it and think of it. And, you know, you go down to New York right now. You have a chance to go and start ending your season on a positive note. I like them Friday, too, against the Panthers, because you telling me the Panthers are going to care about anything after this? I mean, it's just this is a great spot for the Canadiens right now. Give me the Canadiens in the first period. Give me the Canadiens money line to win. And also give me Cole Caulfield to explode in this game for not 1, but 2 goals.
2 goals. All right. Well, I've been betting Caulfield a lot lately to score 1 goal. And
every time he has a bad game, he usually bounces back.
Yeah.
Since Marty St. Louis took over. So
yeah, I would agree with that. So definitely I would look for that. I would look at, you know, your guy Dvorak, just not to score, but get a point too. That's been coming through for the last
even maybe
5
Hoffman
games.
too, right? I mean, they got him up there in the top line. Ironically, I thought that was one of the best games. I mean, he's getting pretty much shit on up in Montreal, but he played a heck of a game the other night. I don't think that was a bullshit call on him on the penalty shot. With Haller, you know, I mean, he was just doing some great back checking, which I've obviously never seen him do in my life. So he played a hell of a game. Yeah,
no question about that. Definitely, we're seeing a situation here where you know this Montreal team, and Dvorak started to pick it up. The Rem Pitlick, even the last couple of games, Jake Evans, you know, the last couple of games.
Over's a great play too. I think you're right there. I mean, Montembeau and
Georgiev,
come on.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense, and the betting markets agree. This total opens 6 shaded to the under. It's 6 shaded to the over, and even 6.5 in a lot of spots. So it's a lot of agreement here that this game should have some goals. And there's a lot of games that should have some goals in it, just based on the nature of, you know, it's 2 teams just not with a lot on the line going head to head. There is something on the line with this game for the Dallas Stars. They need just 1 point. That's all they need. And they are in the playoffs, and they officially knock Vegas out in the process if that happens. Dallas hosting Arizona. Dallas minus 500 home favorites, 6 the total in this game. Wow. Do you want to lay minus 500 with Dallas after seeing what Arizona did last night? No, I don't. And obviously all they need is a point here. Arizona, give them credit. That was not a fluke. And Alex and I were talking about this during the betcast. None of that was fluky last night. That was not, Vejmelka stole the game for the Coyotes last night. No, they went toe-to-toe with Minnesota. And for extended stretches of that game, they played better than Minnesota. You know, and you got to give the Coyotes credit for that in that 5-3 win. It's a back-to-back for them. It is a back-to-back for Dallas as well. But, of course, for Arizona, they are going to have to travel as well in between games here. Or travel, from on this back-to-back situation. So it's a little bit more of a worse spot for Arizona. But I'm not laying a dime with the Dallas Stars. Not at this price, not with anything. They don't win games very easily. We saw it again last night against Vegas, needing a shootout. By the way, we said it on the betcast. That was one of the worst shootouts I've ever seen in NHL history. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. That shootout was a disgrace. I mean, you've got guys that are putting in no creativity with their shootout attempt, just shooting right at the goalie's chest. I mean, put some freaking thought into it. Put some creativity into it. Maybe deke every now and then. Make a move, for Christ's sake. Elevate the puck, for crying out loud. Do something better than what you did. That's the pathetic shootout that was for both teams. No wonder it went 7 rounds before someone finally scored. It was absolutely brutal. But nevertheless, finally, Miro Heiskanen said, maybe I'll make a deke move to the backhand. That's a thought. And that's, sure enough, the shootout attempt that worked and gave Dallas the victory in that game. You know, there's a couple of different ways I'm thinking of approaching this. I'm keeping everything very low units tonight on this tricky little 5-game slate. But I'm going to do a little split here with Arizona money line and the draw. Because the way I see it is with this game, Dallas doesn't win anything easily. I mean, you even look at the games against San Jose and Seattle at home. They squeak them out by a goal, you know, just barely winning those games against San Jose and Seattle, comparable competition to Arizona. And then, of course, 3-2 against Vegas in a shootout, 3-2 against Seattle, 2-1 against San Jose, 1-0 against – I mean, it's just the same old thing for Dallas when they win by a goal. And it's not easy. It's never by margin, regardless of who they're playing. And they know all they need is a point. So they're going to play this. I don't think they're going to try to romp Arizona here. They're going to play tight, good defensively, rely on the goaltending of Wedgwood, who's going to be in net tonight on the back-to-back. Hari Sateri, by the way, in net for Arizona. That's the one concern about this Arizona draw split for me is Sateri. I mean, he's given up 12 goals in his last 2 starts. It's been absolutely awful. This new tour of duty right now for him in the NHL is not going well whatsoever, and that's a problem at the moment for him. So that's the tricky part, but Dallas just does not win by margin. They only need a point. I could see this being a draw, really, because of that. You know, draw or an overtime game for Dallas suits them perfectly because they're in the playoffs. So the draw is definitely live. I like the draw a little bit more than I like Arizona. The draw in this Dallas-Arizona game is a very good price. It makes sense to me. Dare the Stars to beat a team by margin, which they never do. And you can get the draw in this game at a plus 425 price. I mean, I think that's worth a couple of bucks, to be honest, if you ask me. Alex, what do you think here? Coyotes and Stars.
Yeah, and we talked about that during the betcast last night. I said, somebody was asking us about which teams do we want to see get this final spot in the West, and I said Dallas strictly because they're a team that plays tight and plays with a lot of draws, and would love to have that value, have a team that I've been riding with the draw all year long to get to the postseason. That'd be nice, but they are a hard team to watch. I know a couple people were kind of talking about that. And as far as, like I said, with Arizona last night, like I said, yeah, they played well. The second period and I'd say maybe the second half of the first period and then the entire second period, they truly dominated at all aspects of the ice against Minnesota. And the Wild, I mean, considering the spot that they're in, yes, they're already in the playoffs, but they had a great chance of taking care of home ice last night, for the first round, and they didn't do that. So like I said, it was more of Arizona playing just some good hockey. It was something we haven't seen too often this year, but for them to try to string it back to back now and play a Dallas team that knows, hey, we take care of business tonight, we can, cement our path and move on. I like the first period over a little bit. It's only one minus $1.30, but I would actually wait and play this in game, wait for a plus price. And also, I like this game, like Dallas to just go on and win this game. Like I said, you don't see them win by margin often. I feel like this could be one of those games that gets away from Arizona, especially with Terry in that. He's been pretty awful. I think Dallas wants to go on and get this over with. So I could see them kind of having a big start early and then kind of cooling off and giving up some goals. So I like the first period over, but I'm going to wait and play it in game. Obviously, there's nothing you can do with Dallas at all. I mean, even looking at regulation prices, you'd be laying 250, 260. So I'm just going to stay with the first period over.
And like I say with the props, and I've said this repeatedly with Dallas in terms of from a prop standpoint for them, Robertson, Hintz, and Pavelski, and don't even think twice about anybody else. Ben, I don't trust in a big spot. Sagan, I don't trust in a big spot. Those 3 guys are the guys that do it for the Dallas Stars lately. Hintz, Robertson, and Pavelski. Pavelski always comes to play when the game is big and the game is critical and the game is important. We got Andrew McInnis back with us. Andrew, we haven't heard from you yet here. What's going on? What do you think here? Arizona, Dallas.
Arizona, Dallas. I agree with what Alex was just talking about, what you guys are saying there about the first period. I mean, just an early start. I kind of like the first period minus a half. I mean, you can get a real good price on that, and it's just a horrible price on a lot of other things. I mean, the money line, you guys see that price there on the screen. Puck line, I don't love it either. With the minus a half goal, I got it at minus 115 in the first period. And I think that if there's going to be a chance they let up, it might be after they have a little cushion. Of course, as we were saying, I mean, the Dallas Stars aren't a team to just run it up on anybody. But let's be honest, we saw a goaltending display in for both teams yesterday with Vegas and Dallas. It wasn't just Dallas; it was Thompson played well too. So I think the Stars get off to a good start, and then they kind of squeak out maybe a 3-2 victory. But I'm expecting, I think that we could see a 1-0 exact score after the first period. I know I'm not going to bet it, but I'm just saying I think we could see the first period go under, and Dallas still win like 1-0 in that first period.
Yeah, I think a 1-0 first period correct score is that's typical Dallas. I mean, to just get one goal, park the bus, which they have no problem doing that. That's definitely something you might want to consider. And there are books that will offer the first period correct scores. So definitely something to consider. That would be plus 325, by the way, for Dallas first period 1-0 lead. So if you're interested in that. Jimmy, how about you? Arizona, Dallas.
All right, guys. This is when you think that I'm really smoking the good stuff here. Give me the Coyotes.
Wow. Just
Not
even
the
the draw.
back-to-back games, not the back-to-back wins, Jimmy.
That's it. We're doing it.
Yeah. I think it's Dallas. And honestly, that's why I like the draw.
You know why? Because I was so hard on Dallas leading up to the show today. I had about 3 things I wanted to do with Dallas, and now I'm saying, you know what? That's why they're going to lose. Yeah. So give me the Coyotes. I'm just going complete opposite of what I felt all day.
There you go. All right, Arizona. I will sprinkle just a tiny bit on Arizona. I like the draw more. Draw is really
even
what
a plus
I like
1.5 is nice. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Vito likes Arizona, and he's been picking off the underdogs scoring in the first period lately. Vito, just taking them to score a goal in the opening period. These really big underdogs. So there's definitely some potential there. Yeah.
And you know what? I will say this personally. I probably will have some Arizona in pocket because if they do win this game, I lose my under bet of 23.5 wins. So with this price, I might actually be able to kind of, but that's just a personal bet. I don't think Arizona's going to win this game, to be honest, but that's just kind of something I'm just going to do the hedge because they're right at 23 wins right now. So.
Yeah, that makes sense definitely from your standpoint to do that. No question about that, given your situation with the win total there or points total for the Arizona Coyotes. So like I say, I honestly think it's Dallas wins in overtime or a shootout. They get their point. I think they win maybe, but I think it's overtime or a shootout. I think it's tough, like it always is. It's not easy for the Dallas Stars. They put their fans through the torture chamber time and time again. All right, Vegas and Chicago. The Golden Knights have treated their fan base very nicely for the last few years, but they're kind of torturing them with the way this season has fallen apart and crumbled for them. They're in Chicago tonight. The Golden Knights minus 215, road favorites, 6.5 being the total in this one. I'm on those Blackhawks here. I really am. I really am. I think Vegas is toast. They know it. They know they can't really rely on Dallas being skunked with 0 points in these last 2 home games against the Ducks and the Coyotes. And look, to expend all that energy last night, to have the lead, to have Jack Eichel cough up the puck in the defensive zone there, leading to that tying goal. And then, of course, Dallas ends up winning it in a long, drawn-out, horrendous shootout, but a long, drawn-out shootout in 7 rounds. I think this is a tough spot for Vegas to really, pull yourself up off the mat, knowing you're pretty much finished. You need an absolute miracle. You need to win out, and you need Dallas to not get a point in 2 games, 2 layups essentially at home against 2 lousy teams, the Ducks and the Coyotes. So that to me, although the Ducks did play well last night, but still should win that game if you're the Dallas Stars, no question about that. So when I look at this game here between these 2 teams, I mean, I'm looking at it and I say, I don't trust Vegas at all. I don't. I think it's been a trying season. There's been lots of injuries. There's been the Robin Lehner situation. Logan Thompson has fought the good fight, and he's played pretty well, to be quite honest with you. Are we even going to see Logan Thompson tonight? Because some sites have Yuri Patera as the backup goalie who's been called up from the AHL with Lehner out. Some sites have him projected to start tonight for the Golden Knights. So that's something to consider here in this game as well. So I just don't trust Vegas, simple. And say what you will about Chicago, not a good season at all. They've had their own issues, but they beat Philly at home. I think they want to finish off this little homestand nicely, give the United Center faithful something to cheer about here in these last couple home games down the stretch. I liked their game the other night, and I think for Vegas, it's going to be awfully difficult to muster up that belief that we're still a potential playoff team after that loss last night in a shootout to the Dallas Stars. So again, Chicago opens up with this game tonight. This is their final home game as well. I should point that out. Final home game for the Dallas Stars as well, or for the Chicago Blackhawks tonight. And then what I'm hoping is Chicago wins tonight. We cash this home underdog bet on them. And then we come back on Friday. They're in Buffalo. It's going to be the final home game for the Sabres. It's going to be the final call ever for Rick Jeanneret in the Buffalo Sabres television booth before he retires. And we come wheel back around and we fade Chicago Friday night. So that's what we're hoping for. Chicago cashes for us tonight, and we cash against them on Friday night. That's the goal. That's the strategy that I'm going with. So Chicago and the over again. It's over or pass for me with these games right now, especially this one, especially with the unknown that we might see Patera in net for the Golden Knights tonight. So over for me for a smaller opinion, but I'm going with the home dog here, Chicago, against a deflated Vegas team. Alex, what do you think? Golden Knights, Blackhawks.
Yeah, this screams live betting to me, especially, Vegas is obviously going to be scoreboard watching and seeing what's going on with that Dallas game as well. And if they see Dallas is up, by margin or up pretty big, maybe they get kind of deflated and realize, hey, this is finally coming to an end. And that could give some momentum towards Chicago's way. And like I said, the Hawks, played well. Granted, it was against Philly the other night. So I like, I'm going to be looking for, next to score spots. I like Patrick Kane to get a goal here. I might actually bet Patrick Kane to score, not just this game, but also that finale as well. I'd be going home to Buffalo, ending the season in front of friends and family. So that's something I'll definitely have circled for that last game. But I like a shot for him to score tonight as well. He's been kind of vocal talking about, hey, I do want to stick around. We can rebuild and win at the same time. That remains to be seen with this Hawks team. But he's kind of making it known and say, hey, I'm willing to stick around here. There's some things I want, to be in place for that to happen. But that's good. I'm glad to hear him kind of be a little vocal about the future because, everybody's just been kind of just mum's the word and quiet on what's going to happen moving forward. Taves has said a few things and kind of makes it look like he may not be coming back, whether he's retiring or wants to go somewhere else. So, I think that'll be kind of a momentum thing for Kane to try and get a goal here in this game. And like I said, kind of see where Vegas is at because they're definitely going to be watching to see what's going on in Dallas as well, obviously.
Yeah, no question about that. So a live bet, look for Alex if he's going to get involved. He'll wait till the game starts, see if there's an opportunity that arises. For me, from a prop standpoint, Chandler Stevenson is the guy right now for the Vegas Golden Knights. Scored last night. We talked about that. We took him from a goal scoring prop standpoint. He's the one guy that has shown up and played well, I think, down the stretch for Vegas, even though it's been a tough stretch for them. He's now gotten points in 4 straight games, goals in 4 straight games. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we picked off a plus 425 for him to score last night. Incredible price. And he scored in 4 straight games. So that's what I'd look at from a Vegas standpoint. Chicago, Jonathan Taves has found his offense lately. And like I say, this could be his final game in Chicago, as Alex alluded to. Maybe you get the captain here. Wanting a nice statement effort tonight in what could be his final home game in a Chicago Blackhawks jersey. Andrew, what do you think here, Vegas, Chicago?
Guys, I'm taking a flyer here on their home dog. I think we're going to get a good effort out of the Blackhawks tonight. I think they're going to play well at home, and I've mentioned that with these spots, you don't want to take these bottom tier opponents like the Blackhawks on the road. You want to take them at home if you're going to bet on them. And I mean, Vegas, hey, they want to go with pride, I believe. I just don't know if that's even in the bag at this point right now. They could be deteriorated from this and not feeling the best after last night. Favorite play on this game, though, I think I mentioned this on yesterday's show and it cashed. I'll say it again. Jack Eichel over 3.5 shots on goal, plus 105 at the DraftKings Sportsbook. That's my favorite play. A prop here again. Jack Eichel going to go off on a, hopefully, hard-working note at least and get lots of shots. I know Jimmy has to run, so I'll throw it over to him.
Yep.
Yeah, guys, I got no play on this, but I think it's a good idea, like Alex said, to jump in live. And for the final game, I'm liking the Kraken straight up on the money line there. LA knows where they're going in the playoffs. They're another team right now. Let's just get through this, move on. As for my best bet, it will be the Montreal Canadiens.
There it is, Montreal, Bleu Blanc et Rouge with a little Bleu Blanc. I think Andrew missed that. He played Bleu Blanc et Rouge when he announced he liked Montreal.
Intro was too long.
All
right, guys, have a good one. All right.
There he is. Jimmy's running. Thanks,
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Go.
Good stuff. All right, there it is. Jimmy Murphy with us here on this Wednesday edition of the Ice Guys, liking Montreal as his best bet. And yeah, to me, this has to be dog or pass here with Chicago and Vegas. It's just Vegas. It's difficult for, they know they're in big trouble. They need a miracle at this point. I don't think it's easy after that game last night, losing it like they did painfully in a shootout, to bounce back tonight. All right, next up is not New York, Washington. We'll change that. Final game of the Wednesday card, Los Angeles Kings, Seattle Kraken. We've got LA minus 170, road favorites, and the total here in this game at 6 across the board. I'm on Seattle, just like Jimmy mentioned. It's just a pure spot situational bet. That's all it is. I mean, it's not like Seattle's always a trustworthy team. I know that, but this young LA team just had the euphoria of clinching a playoff spot, clinching third. They can't move up. They're locked into that first round series now against the Edmonton Oilers, and they'll go on the road to Edmonton for the first 2 games of that series. To me, this is just, we got things locked up. We're happy. We're excited. And this is a team that definitely, I'm sure, did a little celebrating. I don't think maybe not too much, but a little bit. There's a young Kings team. Nobody picked them to be in the playoffs, or at least very few people did. And here they are in the playoffs. And now the night after clinching, they're playing the very next night on the road against Seattle. Seattle got off to a horrid start. But you know why I'm taking Seattle tonight? Because they showed me in the second and in the third period against Vancouver last night, they didn't give up. They were down early. They battled back. They made it interesting and fell short late in that third period. And for Seattle in a, expansion year, you want to go out here in these last 2 home games tonight against LA and then Friday night against San Jose. Those are their last 2 home games. You want to put on a win. You put a win on the board for these fans there at Climate Pledge Arena. It's been obviously not the first year, not the expansion year that Vegas Golden Knights had. For this Seattle team, obviously not even close, but there's no doubt there's some onus and incentive, I think, for the players to these final 2 home games, play hard, see if we can get a win here. And they got situations that are in their favor. They're playing an LA team with nothing at stake tonight. They're playing San Jose, a winnable game on Friday night. So these are 2 spots I'm looking to take Seattle tonight and on Friday. We'll start with tonight. I like the Kraken plus 150. Alex, Kings Kraken.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like the spot more for with Seattle Friday against San Jose. But as far as this game goes, what I like here is the over. I think at 6, like I said, with the Kings, they already, clinched everything up. And it's funny, I think, I mentioned it on the previous show here with us that, I thought LA was going to have a better year than Seattle. I know a lot of people were thinking, Seattle, even with the expansion moves, that they'd be kind of in the mix to be a playoff team. I didn't think they were going to be in last place, to be honest, but I did think LA had a shot to possibly be a playoff team this year, and they're able to accomplish that. So kudos to them. They're going to have a tough first round, obviously, being opening on the road against Edmonton. So this definitely seems like it could be one of those games where it's high scoring. LA's got nothing to play for. Seattle, like I said, kind of want to just play for some pride. So 6 with this price, especially if we do see Peterson, who, he's been kind of up and down at times. He's had some rough starts. Grubauer's been struggling all year long. So 6 at even money, that's what I'm going to go with here.
Like in the over. And again, there's not a single game on this slate of the 5 that I would make a convincing case to bet the under. Seriously. Maybe Arizona, Dallas. Maybe. And even then, I don't love it at all. But that's about it. I think there's probably going to be goals in probably the 4 or the 5 games, in my opinion. So
I got to ask you though, Ian, how many unders did you bet this year?
But I have had obviously I have opinions on unders. I just don't bet my opinions.
I know. I'm
unders.
just joking.
My long-term track record with unders, as I've documented many times, is horrendous.
But you're a great totals better though. You do well with totals. So
great overs better. Better, that is. But under with this awful. I mean, I remember I loved an under so much 3 years ago, and I was already at the point where I was fed up losing so many unders. And I loved this under. It was Boston and somebody. It was on 6.5. It was too. And the game fucking ended 5-4. I'm like, I'm done with this. It's ridiculous. It's set up so perfectly for an under. It ended up being 5-4.
You know what's funny?
I've had it.
I've bet 4 unders all year long. And I went 3-1 on them. But one of them you have to throw out because it was that game that ended up being the typo over at my bookie where it was under 12.5. For the second period and supposed to be 1.5. So technically I went 3-1 on the record. I actually went 2-1, but these are the first unders I think I've had maybe like over a year and a half. I've had people tweet me all the time. They're like, do you only bet overs? Do you only bet overs? I'm like, pretty much I only bet like 98% of the time I bet overs.
The only sport that I like betting unders in are when it's World Cup, and I'm no soccer expert. World Cup group stages, first game for each team. First half under 1.5. But other than that, I remember I had a really, really big play with my clients and personally on the Flyers Habs 2 years ago in the playoffs, under like 5.5.
Yep.
And like playoff hockey, you guys know how exciting it is, all the goal opportunities. You need Carter Hart and Price to stand on their heads. And for like full 60 minutes, I'm just like on the edge of my seat, like don't do anything. I think the game ended like 3-2 or 3-1, but unders aren't fun to watch. But guys, I think the Kraken or the Kings are ending off this season on a great note. They're playing very well, and I don't think they want to let up. That's the thing that I'm worried about with this game. Trying to find an upset is that I just think that LA is playing so well to close things out. that I don't really want to touch this one just because I don't like the price on the Kings. But I don't think that it's the night for a dog.
All right, nothing wrong with that. A pass for Andrew in this one. By the way, a couple props for Seattle. Matt Beniers, we're going right back to the train or the well with him. He has, by the way, collected a point in every home game that he's played here at Climate Pledge Arena and multiple goals as well. So Matt Beniers stands out for sure for the Seattle Kraken. Clear prop choice for me in this game. And he remains on that top line. So, he's going to get the opportunity. Actually, he's moved down to the second line now. It looks like second game in a row, he'll be on the second line with Eberle and Donato, but still a top six forward role. And Yanni Gourde as well for Seattle, who's really picked up his goal scoring in the last few games as well. He's centering the top line for the Kraken. So Yanni Gourde and Matty Beniers there for props that I'll be targeting here for the Kraken in this game tonight. All right, great stuff. That is the Wednesday NHL card. Alex, Andrew, and Jimmy, great to have the whole crew today. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button. Make sure you do that. Before we get to best bets and end the show, a reminder, just if you missed it yesterday, we're going to have a lot of fun in these playoff shows throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs. We've got guests galore lined up to join us throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs here on the Ice Guys. Multiple people that have played the game or still play the game joining us throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs starting next week. And don't forget about our big Sunday playoff preview show. The way the schedule lines up for us this week is we'll have a show tomorrow on Thursday. We'll have our regular season finale show on Friday, and we'll be joined by Brett McLean for that show on Friday, the final day of the regular season. Saturday, we're off. Thank goodness. I need a fucking Saturday off. That'll be nice. I will enjoy that. And then Sunday, we will be back with our Stanley Cup playoff preview show, Sunday, May 1st, noon Eastern, joined by former Ottawa Senator, former Anaheim Duck, most recently with the Detroit Red Wings, Bobby Ryan, on the Ice Guys, Sunday, May 1st, noon Eastern, for our Stanley Cup playoff preview show. Very much looking forward to that. We'll tee up every series for you, every first-round matchup. Any futures that we like right now, we'll mention them. Stanley Cup final, prediction, Stanley Cup champion, pick. We'll have all of that for you on Sunday on the Stanley Cup playoff preview show. Looking forward to that. All right, DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NHL. And a reminder, new customers can bet just $1 on any NHL team and get $150 in free bets if they win. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Hockey Contest. DraftKings giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Sign up for an account. Use the promo code THPN. Bet just $1 on any NHL team and get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 years of age or older. Must reside in a DraftKings Sportsbook state. New customers only. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up for an account, and use the promo code THPN. All right, best bets to wrap it up for this Wednesday edition of the Ice Guys. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, the only thing I've officially bet so far has been Montreal and the New York Rangers. I like the draw. I got it plus 425. It's dropped a little bit now. Still seeing plus 400, plus 405. And like I said, this is more of a value play for me. Rangers have nothing to play for. They can't move up or down. They're going to be resting a bunch of guys. Montreal, the streak that they've been on of late has been pretty rough. But like I said, if they at least can just find a way to just kind of hang around in this game, and with the fact that we're seeing the Rangers possibly playing some call-ups and some younger guys, I feel like this game could go into overtime. So I think that we're getting a good value with that number. So plus 400 is what you see in widely available now. We'll go with the Habs and the Blue Shirts to go into overtime.
All right, there it is. Montreal, New York. Liking the draw here in this one for Alex P. Smith. Draw around plus 330, plus 340. The price you can get with that. Andrew, what do you like for best bet?
No, I'll stick with the prop world. I'm going to go with that one I mentioned yesterday. Cash. I think it'll cash again with Jack Eichel over 3.5 shots on goal for last night. We've seen him score, get 6 shots, 8 shots even over the last little 2 weeks and a half. And I think he can do it tonight. Whether or not they win or lose, I expect a lot of shots on goal for the Knights tonight.
Yeah, unfortunately for Jack Eichel, shots are nice. Goals are better. Production is better. Putting the thing in the net is better. And unfortunately, that's not happening for him right now. Jack Eichel over 3.5 shots. He is getting the shots, though. We'll see if he gets them again tonight. Over 3.5 shots on goal for Jack Eichel for Andrew's best bet. My best bet is going to be I'm taking Chicago. I am plus the price against Vegas plus 185. Is the best price available right now. Don't trust Vegas after just seeing their season pretty much crumble last night in that loss to the Dallas Stars in a shootout. I think Chicago, final home game of the season. I like the way they played that last home game. It was actually a very good, sturdy, nice, clean, tidy defensive effort even, and that Chicago hasn't had many of those. We'll see if they can follow that up, but I think we have a live home underdog here tonight against this very, very disappointing Vegas team. Chicago plus 185 for my best bet here for this Wednesday NHL card. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. We appreciate it. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Andrew McInnis, Alex B. Smith, Jimmy Murphy, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow on Thursday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.